Tangata Pasifika, Tangata folau, you're O.T.V, you're on the Va'a with Sam and Sefa. And I was going to say, here to bring you into the weekend, but that's a different show. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Cool. We have a special guest with us. I'll let you introduce our special guest.
Yes, this man's very hard to track down. We actually flew him down from Auckland yesterday just for the podcast. We didn't fly him down. We just managed to nab him in time. Jake Arona, who is here with us today. Jake, how are you going, brother?
Yeah, good. Aloha. I'm good, yeah.
So we're going to talk to Jake about a few things, but we like to sort of get to know the man, the myth, the legend a bit more closely, more on a personal level. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, Jake. This one's related to your acting. So first question is, if you were to play any role in any movie, what role would you love to play?
Any role. I think I like to play the lead in Casablanca.
Casablanca?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's old suave. It's like there's Victorian era lady lovers.
Ooh. Do you see yourself as one of those guys?
No, and I think that's why I'd love to be in that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the go-to, because I think they want to be in like the superheroes. Everyone wants to be, but I want to do like, hello.
Yeah, I feel like we go through some superhero era when it comes to movies, eh?
Hard out.
Second question for you is, what movie would you love to see like a continuation of, like a second, like a movie that ended and you're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have a part 2 or?
Man, there's heaps. I think one that I'd really like to see would be. So I can't even think of one, and there's like heaps.
Yeah. I was like, I'd like to see Rush Hour 4. But that's the only thing. When you say movie, I automatically think of my favourite one.
Yeah.
It's probably Rush Hour. And I'd be like, yeah, I'd be keen to see Rush Hour 4.
I would too.
I don't know, really. Because there's like heaps of movies that I'm like, oh, I really wish there was a second, and then I go, I actually don't, because I really love the first one.
Okay, well, I'll throw it back then. What movie would you wish they never did a second part or a third part of? If you just wish they just left the original alone, or even a remake?
The Lion King.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I wish they had never done
the live action that was not live action, or
the live action, and definitely the live action, and
Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Like it's a good watch. It's a good follow up. But I'm like that and like Mulan. Yeah. So I'm a big Disney. I love Disney movies, and there's a second part to Mulan. Where I'm like, I
didn't know there was a second Mulan.
No, neither. Third final question for you is, I give you a budget of 100 mil for you to shoot a movie in the islands in Samoa.
Yeah.
What sort of movie are you shooting? 100 mil.
100 mil. Historical biograph kind of action film. The stories of like, not so much the wars, but the civil wars among titles.
Oh, true.
Like how kingships became established in Samoa. Yeah. Or like how the country was unified as one nation. I think it's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah. Like, because every island had their own king. And then what happened from being their own kingdom to becoming one. I think that'll be cool.
I think there's the stories that need to be told as well. Because I feel like the That's part of history that doesn't get told. And
Yeah.
it's just going to get lost.
Yeah.
It'll get lost.
Hard out.
Change.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, I think that there's history that's on its way out.
Yeah.
You know, there's like there's the last of that generation that's holding it. Yeah.
I remember I've told the story quite a few times where my grandfather took me out into the maumanga, into the bushes, and then he was like, he took me to this hut and he said, wait here, he's going to go do some hunting.
Yeah.
And he came back, it was like pungsa, dark, and then he was like, those times there was no like sort of roads and stuff in the maumanga, and he just like looked up into the skies like, we go this way.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this guy, like that's been lost
Yeah.
because, you know, compasses now these days, GPS. So even that knowledge of being able to read the skies,
Yeah.
which made our people like the best navigators in the world.
Hard out. Yeah.
If you haven't picked up yet, Jake is a full-time actor. and, and I guess we should start there too. Jake, what started the journey into acting, the passion behind acting? Because also your partner is also an actress too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would have been great to have her on the show as well. But yeah, what first led you into acting? And tell us a little bit about where acting has taken you now.
Yeah, I fully stumbled into it. My final year of high school in Auckland, it was like school holidays, and I wasn't thinking about going to uni. And all my mates at the time, they all had jobs in the school holidays, and so I had no one to hang out with, really. And then one of my uncles, he was like, there's these workshops that's happening during the holidays, and I was like, I don't want to do that, because I'd just come out of like the rugby phase. You know, I had accepted I'm never going to be an All Black. I was never going to crack it into rep teams.
What position did you play?
I grew up playing blindside,
Hey,
and then
the enforcer role.
I got moved to hooker.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I can see that. Yeah.
I got moved to hooker because they're going, till you're getting too big and your neck's really thick,
Yep.
and your cellar.
Wow.
That was the main one, is like your cellar. It's like, yeah. Yeah, so I went to these workshops during the holidays, and they were just playing all these games. And I was like, what? Just killing time. And then about 3 days in, I was like, when do you guys start acting? And the tutor was like, Jilly, you've been acting since you got here. He like explained all the exercises that they were doing.
Acting up.
Yeah, and I was like, in ways. But yeah, he was explaining all the exercises and relating them back to theatre, and I was like, it clicked for me. And I was like, man, I actually really enjoy this. And I've been just going back to workshops ever since. And then a year later, I got cast in my first show, and then I saw that I was getting paid. And I'm still like coming out of high school, you know, no other training.
What was your first acting gig?
My first acting gig was in 2010, 2011. It was a show called Havoc in the Garden by a massive company. It was written by this writer from London who's based in LA named Lenny James. Yeah, directed by this amazing director named Sam Scott.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was this for TV or what medium?
This was mainly live theatre.
Live theatre.
So my craft focuses more on theatre. Yeah. Theatre practitioners. So not so much film. Yeah, it's a completely different realm to me. I've tried it like once recently, and I was just like, this is completely different. It's like rugby and league.
Similar, but completely different games.
Yeah.
What's rugby and what's league?
I think theatre's more rugby.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think
Because it's more clean, eh?
well, but because I also think that like in league, like, you know, if we're relating it to sports, I think because the league, it's real. Yeah, it's just rugby is theatre. Because I think there's not more. I don't want to take away from league. Because, you know, my avenue is theatre, so I'm going to talk it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same but different.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was that transition hard going into film? Like,
Yeah. But
What made it hard? Because I'm sitting here thinking that
Yeah.
wouldn't it just be the same? Like you're doing theatre, but there's just cameras in front of you.
well, the thing with like the thing I've noticed with theatre is that because you're on stage, there's a lot of like voice stuff. So there's voice and there's bigness in what you do. So when I went on the set, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're just gonna you talk to this guy, rah, and when you watch film and you see bad acting, that's what I was doing on film. I was like, Sneaker, oh, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, like it's really late, you know?
It's really late.
But on film, the guy was going, oh, there's no need to yell, and I was going, oh, what? You know, while I was standing on set with someone, this is how I heard him. Oh yeah, so you're just gonna walk around, and then as you come up to this thing, you're gonna, you know, I'm going, oh, everyone's whispering to each other, and then hearing people talk to each other, they're like, oh yeah, what's the time? Nah, I don't like that. And I was going, oh, so I felt like I was yelling, but this is in my mind, this is how loud I was speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you catch on really fast
Yeah.
on how much to pull back.
Man,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, eh?
Yeah, it's like a whole different game. It's a whole different game.
But now that you explain it, like I can so see that.
Yeah.
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 Watching theatre and I
Yeah.
get now because we've seen some theatre productions
Yeah.
where they're quite big.
It has to be big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you know, on stage, you stand by yourself and the stage is massive. There's like heaps of people watching you. And it's like doing it in a way where everyone can get what you're trying to do. Where in film, I just have to focus here. I say my line, you didn't like it, didn't come clear, cool, we'll do it again.
Yeah. Were there any other people that were coming from a theatre background on that shoot that you did?
Yeah, there was a few. The thing with like film, a lot of people who are in film come from theatre. Yeah. Like I think it's about 80, almost 90% of actors we see in film probably started in theatre.
And so you were on, like, you just recently did a film, right? Is that right?
This was like early on in the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What film was that?
You
I
have to say?
I can't reveal too much.
Okay.
All I can say
Yeah,
is
sweet.
that hopefully it will remain Christchurch based. They were pulling this project together to be filmed and created in Christchurch. Yeah, and hopefully it's a go because we need more of that stuff happening here, right?
Can you tell us what it's about?
No.
Not at this point.
Yeah, okay, fair
Not at this
What does it rhyme with? Just keep pressing it.
Is it,
Not at
is
this
it
point.
a true story?
Not at this point. It's a fun piece. It's a play on some things.
Is it about the wizard?
No,
Radio Ron?
no. It's I think the only thing I can say it's Walking Dead-ish.
But alive.
Yeah, Walking Alive.
Okay.
When can we see, like, when can we
Yeah.
expect to maybe see this or, like, maybe the first trailer or something?
They're working on the pilot, so it might not be for like a while.
Oh, wait. So it's a TV series, not a film?
Well, yeah, it's being pushed as a TV series.
Cool. Oh, yeah. So they're going to do a pilot
Yeah.
film.
Yeah,
And then,
and I think that would work out better for Christchurch because it'll be ongoing.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than like one hit and then
yeah.
everyone disperse.
Do they need any zombie podcast people?
Yes, yes, they do.
Yes!
Yes.
Yeah, I might just, put us in there, bro.
Yeah, hard out. Hard out.
Let them know that Sam and I aren't working next year.
Yeah. I mean, as an actor, it's like I have this. People in the industry. We have this running joke of like, actor is just a fancy way of saying unemployed. Like, because that's all it is really. If you're not performing, then you don't have a job. So, you know, yeah, hard out.
How do you deal with that? Like following your passion, but then not having like a steady, like weekly
Yeah.
paycheck. How does that Hey, how do you deal with that?
I've recently learned in the last 3 to 4 years, it comes down to planning. Yeah. Before that, the only way to deal with it is to get another job. Really, that's pretty
Supplements
much
your income. Yeah.
But it's tricky because you get these other jobs, and then you only can commit part time. And then if they start giving you more hours, and you go, oh, I don't have this gig coming up, then you take it, and then the gig comes up, and then you go, oh, I can't do this job anymore. Like, it's a real weird balance, because I think a lot of actors, they walk away from normal jobs having been looked at as unreliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when that job finishes and do this gig, and then you go to another job, they're like, oh, what was your last job? Oh, so let's see here that you're only there for like 6 weeks. Part-time, and you only turned up like 4 weeks. Yeah, but it comes down to planning. So if you can plan out your year, try and stay at least 6 months ahead, then it works out. It's hard, but it works out.
Man.
Yeah.
So we have Jake on the show because as part of our Dawn Raids series, he's going to be talking about the Dawn Raids theatre production that he was part of. Should I say, is it right to call it theatre production?
Yeah.
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 And Sam and I got to see that. We've seen actually a couple of your shows,
Yes.
but I think the biggest one that we've seen you part of, that we have seen, has been the Dawn Raids, which is what the series Sam and I are embarking on about. And we're going to chat to Jake about his experiences on that show, what he felt, how he got into the character he played, the fallout from all that. We'll be chatting to him about that after this. Hello, Falava. Welcome back. Again, we have Jake on the show with us, Jake Arona, that's here to talk about his experience in the play, in the theatre production Dawn Raids, originally written by Oscar Kightley. This played from August 16th to the 3rd of September 2022. Sam and I, as well as Tangata Pasifika Trust, as part of our professional development, got to see it. What an awesome show that we got to witness. Pretty heart-wrenching. There was a lot of tears in there. The star does feature, it is a star-studded cast, featuring Michael Falesiu, Gabrielle Solomona, Talia Ray Mavaenga, and of course, Jake, except it says Jake Tupu on his class list. Cast list.
Yeah. I'll explain that in a bit.
So Sam and I got to really enjoy that show on the ASB Waterfront. Packed out. This was, and it was hard to get tickets for it. So we were extremely lucky to get in on that. I guess we'll hand it over to you. So, first of all, why do you have a different name as an actor? And
Yeah, why is it Jake King? And
My family name is actually Tupu.
yeah,
But I use Jake. Arona's my middle name, and Arona's the name that when I go home, my dad's family, that's what they call me. They don't know me as Jake. Jake became my, like, that's your name at school kind of name. So when I started performing and I was getting more and more work, I just felt awkward calling myself Jake Tupu. Like, that's my last name. But, as a Samoan, I'm going, why am my last name King? And because I'm quite,
you're King.
yeah. Well, it just felt, yeah. Anyway, so I use Jake Arona. Arona's my name as well. Yeah. So you'll see it'll be like either Jake Arona or Jake Tupu. Yeah.
I can relate to that because I use Latu as my last name, but on my actual birth certificate and passport, it's folau.
Yeah.
And I've never used it. Like,
Yeah.
that's folau is my actual last name, but I've never ever used
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, I can relate to that. If someone will say, "Oh, Sam folau," I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah.
that's not my last name."
Yeah. Yeah. So I use Jake Tupu. I'm in a place where I'm transitioning all my works over to Jake Tupu because I'm like, oh, actually, I want the same last name that my siblings are using to be known in my work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, in that cast was Lauie Tofa. He's the face of ASB. Also, if you're watching and listening to this, come on through.
Yes.
Send some of that ASB stuff this way. And Italia Hunt. Yeah, they were part of that crew on stage.
Did you ever switch it up and just be like Tupu Arona?
Nah,
No.
nah.
Oh, okay.
Because Arona's my middle name on my
Okay.
on my legal documents.
Yeah.
My government issue.
Okay, so before let's jump in before you actually get on the stage to play this. Before you actually get the script, what entices you to try to tackle this play? And this is on the anniversary of the apology for the Dawn
yeah.
Raids. So, what made you as a crew? Well, let's go personally.
Okay.
Want to do this?
Never crossed my mind to do it, to be honest. I was just chilling, and it was Tanya Mwangutia, who's Pacific Underground. She was approached by Auckland Theatre Company that they wanted to put Dawn Raids on stage as part of their season. And Tanya, being Tanya, she's like, we're keen to do this thing, but we also want to bring in other younger creatives to help put it on its feet. And so she asked Troy Tuua, who's a multidisciplinary practitioner in Auckland, if he was keen to jump on as a director. And he was like, yup, he jumped at it. And then Tanya asked me the same question. It's like, do you want to come on as a director? And then we can work as a trio on how this could work. And I was just like, yup, that sounds cool. Let's do it. Yeah. That's how that came about. Like, I never, it's one of those, it's those dreams that you have. You go, man, it'll be really cool if one day I could be part of the show. But you never see it realistically happen. Yeah. And it wasn't until those conversations that happen that people never see that I was able to be a part of that conversation. Yeah. Yeah.
So we came to see that last year. When she called you up, when was that? How far from the very first show to when that first discussion happened?
It was about a year.
A year?
A year.
Wow.
Because these big theatre companies, they program their things a year in advance. So even now, they'll be programming all of next year. So to get in next year, you have to have that conversation early February or something. Yeah. Yeah, it was about a year. The conversation initially dropped in a year, and then it went up a year later.
Okay, so Jake was in the play, but I'll ask you, Sam. What's a synopsis, spoiler-free? Synopsis, spoiler-free about Dawn Raid's play that you remember.
Jake, a man looking for love.
Just for our viewers.
It's just a play on the historical accounts of what happened in Auckland in the 1970s and 80s when it surrounding the Dawn Raids. So, yeah, it's just a play about specific struggles of the Polynesian Panthers, stories on the police that were also involved, and just the deportation of a lot of our people. So if you sort of know a bit about the Dawn Raids, then you'll know what this play is about. If you don't, then it's just retelling of a few stories and accounts of what had happened in the Auckland region in the 70s. In the 70s, yeah.
And so I felt this account. I don't mean to sound like I'm bagging the TV show, because I'm not.
But
I'm saying this play was like this is what I thought. I felt more realistic and more accurate than the TV show that came out. Jake, you played. Tell us about your role and how you went about playing the father of the family this is focused on.
So I played a character named Benny, and Benny was he's the best friend of the daughter in the family, and they're just uni students, at the uni students in that time, and Benny harbors like his own secret around overstayers at the time. Yeah, he's like the the Fia Malie dude. Yeah, in this time where everything isn't as Malie as it should be, almost. Yeah, that makes sense.
And like to take on this role, how do you put yourself into character? Like, what do you read? What do you take inspiration from?
For that particular piece, there was heaps of like watching old interviews, because just trying to see what Auckland was like back in the 70s. There was heaps of that, and then just talking to like people who lived in that time. Yeah, that was a lot of my own research, and then your own little kind of spin on it. But yeah, I just spoke to heaps of people from that time. Not heaps, but those who I knew kind of understood. And what's my not my lier, but I found that some of the oldies that I'd spoken to, like from my family and people from my community in Auckland, not all of them were aware that the Dawn Raids was a thing.
Even though they were based in Auckland?
Even though they were based. So there are a lot of people.
Wow.
There are a lot of people in Auckland who lived all their lives in Auckland. Some of them were just like, because it didn't happen to them.
Yeah, true.
So, and us as Samoans especially, so something like if a policeman turns up to your house, it's not something you talk about. And it's not something that we as Pasifika would go to the ainga and be like, oh, I saw the police at your house, what were they doing here?
Yeah.
You stand from afar and like, mai leo, like, oh, mai old like, so I think that's a lot of what happened up there as well. So there were a few people that were like, oh yeah, nah, like that didn't happen to us. I think it was like almost a proud thing to be like, we didn't get raided. Yeah. So that kind of went into my thinking for Benny too. He was like, it doesn't happen to him.
True.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he was able to be light in those situations. Yeah.
Were there any, you mentioned you spoke to a lot of people that had, lived that period. Was there any specific person that you talked to and then you're like, this is Benny, this is him, I'm going to play this guy?
Yeah. There were heaps. Yeah, there were heaps. I had uncles, and at some points I was like, my dad could have been like this in his youth, I just saw it as like our dads who were just before they became dads, they all lived the life where it was like work, ever, Sivas, I was like, that's them.
Were there any like specific stories that weren't told in the play that you had come across in your research period? Because there must be like hundreds of stories that just haven't been told. But
well, there was during a rehearsal period, Oscar came in, and he shared some time with us, and even in his talkings, his sharings, he was saying that he had interviewed people for about a year, at least a year, taking notes and finding all these stories. And he said out of all those stories, there were heaps of stories that he couldn't use. Not couldn't, but, just didn't fit into the thing that he was creating. So there were heaps. And even, there were people that, I didn't really talk to that many people. But there were stories that came up and were like, damn, like, that happened also, kind of thing.
Are you able to share any of those stories?
Probably not. Yeah, just out of like whaalolo to the gathering of those stories, and because it was like we gathered it specifically for that show, to use for that show. Yeah, but there were a lot. There's like I mean, I won't share stories, but there are situations that happen. And I think the most common one that's not common is that there are teachers hiding students.
Yeah.
Like everywhere. You know, there's teachers. There's the one that was interviewed. You know, the one that we've seen on the docos
With the floorboard.
and the floorboard.
Yeah.
But they were like teachers like that everywhere, and they weren't just teachers. They were like people in the neighborhood, in their neighborhoods. They were like trying to do their best. Yeah, they all came up with their own signals, and you know, yeah,
Oh man, even like just like that story, it's insane to know that had happened.
yeah,
You know, to think about, to trying to put yourself in that situation where you're living in a place where you might, with a flick of a die,
Yeah.
need to go and hide in someone's random house
Yeah.
or on a floorboard is just
yeah. Like even the thought of the police officers, like yeah, surely they were at the time cops who were just like, yeah, let's get them out of here. But surely that's not representative of all of them. You know, like I'm just like, I really feel for also those officers who are just like there to do their jobs. That was their livelihood. You know,
yeah.
yeah. And it's like, you know, I could imagine them being like, I'm really sorry, but it's either your family or mine.
Yeah.
Like,
Could you share a little bit about just an insight into Talia's role? And just, yeah, was that a package deal to be
no,
double cast in this?
so
Did you like what people did you have to hit up to make that work?
So what a lot of people actually don't know is that they don't know Talia Ray is my partner.
Yeah.
Like, it's not many people know that, and it's because the way we work is like when we come into work, we let's go do the work, and then let's be partners again when we leave. So when Tia came through, yeah, she was like, she tends to not complain, but she's almost like mui mui when she gets these roles, because she's like, oh, I don't want this, I always get these, and I'm like, you're actually perf for that role. Like, that role is perf. It's like really good. So she played the character, she's the main daughter of the family that we follow. And she's a university student, she's a New Zealand born Samoan in this piece. And she is part of that first group that's starting to speak up about what's happening politically in that time period. And yeah, it's my lead. I always laugh at it because, you know, when I always picture our elders watching it going, that's just kokale kiki.
Yeah.
You know, that's, but that's how they see it. But behind that, it's like it was a needed voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because the reason I know why she played it really well was because she annoyed me
Yeah.
in parts of the
Yeah.
play where I was sitting there going, I never talk to
Yeah.
my dad like
Yeah.
that.
I
She
know.
played it perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's characters where you just hate,
Yeah.
you know, you watch a TV show that you really love
Yeah.
and then you get introduced to this character and you're like, oh, you're the
Yeah.
character I'm supposed
Yeah.
to hate.
Yeah. 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 It was like, it was a really interesting dynamic in that piece, because the show can only live for about an hour and a bit. So it's like, we see everything. You see all of it, and you see all these relationships that kind of like almost cross the var but still hold the var. And in that time, it's like, there's a beauty that it happened in that time, because externally there's that fear. You know, any ainga who's fearful of something outside, you come inside and you're like, shh. And it's always nice to have that one character who comes in and is like, nah, making all this noise inside the house. It's like, why are they like this? And rah. I'm going, yeah, cool. Yeah.
So it was pretty emotional play. The people we sat around, there were parts in it that were deeply emotional. And just without spoiler, I'm just referring to a part in particular where a dawn raid actually happens. Just what in particular, we had crying around
Yep.
us and that kind of thing. What in particular was a bit much for you? Like what was kind of strong parts for you in the play?
Around that particular scene?
That scene, if you want, or if there were other parts in the play that really struck out to you, like, man.
Yeah, like how do you, as an actor, not get like emotionally involved in like a scene? Like as a viewer,
Yeah.
we're sitting there and there's just like parts that just strike us, and we're just like crying,
Yeah.
and then we're seeing you guys act it out, and like how do these guys
Yeah.
just not cry? Like how do you just keep a straight face? Because I was straight just gungy half the time on the stage.
There's a lot of work that goes into it in rehearsals about keeping everyone safe. A lot of it's walked through, and then we'll talk about it. This is what we're hitting. This is how far we're going to push it, and then it's just making sure everyone's okay pushing it that far. A lot of the dialogue will be like, "Are you okay to go this far?" And it's like, "Yep, cool. Are you okay to go this far?" "No." "Alright, sweet." How do we still then get the impact to hit here? If you're only willing to, but then as like the crew, they were all young, not young, we're all the same age. We all knew that it was an important piece to tell. So it's like, let's all go there. Let's just go there. Let's put it out. And however it's received, that's still only like a fraction of what actually happened. So in that, we'll do things like there are processes that we put into place that stops us from being personally or emotionally attached, because it was personal for some of the crew. Their grandparents had lived in this time, so we'd do what we call checking in and checking out. So at the top of before any show or before a rehearsal, it's check in. This is where I'm at emotionally. This is where I'm at mentally. This is how I'm feeling around some stuff, like just so everyone's on the same page on where we're at. And then we'll go through this process, we'll do the thing, and we'll do this big scene where the raid happens. And then afterwards, we'll check out. And then we go, cool, so this is what I felt here, this is what I'm leaving here. So we understand that when the actor comes in to check in, they're becoming the character. And then when they check out, they leave the character there, and then we walk away as people again. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like heaps of processes that can be put into place.
Can I just quickly ask, this is not about the dawn race, this is more on the acting. Will you come in and check in as the actor? And let's say I showed up, or like someone asks you a question, are you going to answer as the character?
No, so I'll you can if you want, if that's helpful to your process. Yeah, if it's helpful to your process that you check in as the character, then yeah, by all means. But a lot of the time we will check in as actors. So I'll be saying how Jake feels.
Okay, yeah.
Today I feel heavy in my head. I don't know why, but then everyone's like, yeah, sweet. Then when I check out, I was like, cool. I feel a little bit lighter now that I've done it. Or we could do different processes where you'll de-roll someone else. So for instance, if we were all in this Dawn Raid show and we did this big Dawn Raid scene, a way that we could de-roll each other is I'd be like, all right, Sefa, you're funny. You have this big sense of humor. You've got a great heart. Like I'll de-roll you. I'll remind you of the qualities that Sefa has, and then Sefa will de-roll Sam.
Can you de-roll me right now?
So I'd be like, Sam.
Oh man!
But those are things that we can do to help in these processes. And there are heaps of companies that do it, even if they're not like heavy content like Dawn Raids. There are heaps of shows. There'll be check-ins, check-outs. I recently learned that people call them tap-ins, tap-outs, or de-rolling.
I like that term, de-rolling.
Yeah.
De-rolling.
Yeah. When you're getting into character, is there something that you do specifically to, because I'm imagining if I was to get into acting, if I was to get into character, I'll do something like this. And then I'd be like, I'm in character now. Do you have something like that? Or
I don't do this.
Yeah.
I don't. I just listen to music. I listen to music. I go sit in my dressing room. I just chill out. Yeah, a lot of the music that I listen to influence the work that I'm going into.
Have you seen any other actors like have their own certain ones? And what are they?
Some people do yoga.
Yoga. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
like some people do yoga to get into it. There are people who do this. They'll do the. There are those people who do that, and that's fine.
I feel like I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. everyone's got their own getting into character thing, which is specific to them. Like for a long time, mine was too long. Mine would be I'd go to the bathroom and take a massive poop.
And just open the door and be like, I'm Benny.
Yeah, you know, like that'll be my thing.
I've left Jake in the toilet.
I'm like, yeah, ngali. You know, for a while that was my thing. I couldn't go on stage without, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, that must be scary. Okay, I'll just... Last final questions. Performing in front of Pacific people, because your audience is full-on Pacific now.
Yeah.
What's
They're either Pacifica or they've got Pacific connections.
Yeah, so, like, what's the difference now playing, is it in terms of nerves, that kind of what you're thinking about, as opposed to mainstream kind of production?
Yeah, you're always nervous. You're always nervous. And I think it's more, it's nervous on the language that we might use in front of Pacifica people. But at the same time, I'm excited. I love it when I walk out and I see heaps of Pacifica people. I mean, it's my job to not notice who's sitting there. But every now and again, I'll be like, oh, cool. There's heaps of Pacifica people here. And I get more excited than I am nervous. Like, I'll be nervous coming in. And then after that, it's like, it's gone. Yeah. I love it. I love it when I see our Pacifica people, especially our elderly Pacifica people, you know. I'm like, yeah, come watch. This is for you. Oh, yeah. So,
before we go to break, Jake, do you mind just ending it with just like, what are your summarized feelings and thoughts, and just reminiscing about playing your role as Benny and being part of Dawn Raids?
Yeah, I felt really blessed there to be a part of that piece. Not even just playing Benny, but the manaki that went around all of it. Like, we had the Panthers come through to awhi the show, and then we had, you know, Reverend Moa Strickson come through and awhi the piece, and he's a big advocate for Pacifica people. Yeah, I was just really blessed to be in that space, to see living giants, you know. Yeah.
Awesome. You heard it here. Lovely to have Jake for this part to speak about being part of the show. What a fantastic... Wasn't that one of the first plays you've been to?
Yeah, I think it was one of the first like Pacifica-based play I'd been to. Yeah, and again, after watching, I was like, man, so many people need to see this. You know, there's so much Pacifica people all around New Zealand, but I just felt like we were quite lucky and blessed to be able to have the opportunity to come up and watch it too, because it fully opened up my mind more on what happened during the situation. And I just want to touch base on one real specific scene where I felt like you guys were trying to get the audience involved, and it was the flashlight scene. Like, that really got me.
Yeah.
Like, even though I had not been in and not experienced it, I got like a real small insight into what our people had gone through from that scene, and I felt like that scene was real powerful.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great team. It was a good cast, good crew, heaps of support around it. Yeah.
Sweet. Join us back after this.
Welcome back. Really cool chat here with Jake Arona.
Jake Tupu.
Jake Tupu. Jake King. Jake King Arona. Just to be able to sit here with you also has been awesome, and to hear your insight on the Dawn Raids play that you guys had, and hopefully sometime in the future something like this, or the actual Dawn Raids production will be able to be moved down here. Christchurch Court Theatre, please. Yes. Yeah.
What have you got planned for going ahead? Like, I heard before that you're planning on taking a bit of a break.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a week off, up to a week off. I'm just gonna do absolutely nothing. I'm not gonna leave my house. I'm gonna snack, and then when I get back into it, I will be doing some directing. Be directing a school tour based in Dunedin, and then I will be workshopping as an actor for another piece in Auckland, for a company called Touch Compass, for an awesome person, a dancer named Lucy Fela, who's creating a piece on their life. And yeah, that should take me to, you know, there was the planning, fingers crossed, that'll take me to about March next year.
Nice.
As a creative, I know you've got stuff in the woodworks. You talked about directing. Is there like a show or like a story that you're sort of working on that you're like in the process of, you know, getting completed?
There's always things in the pipeline, but it's that thing of like when we go into other works for other people, it inspires like other things. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'll start something, and like it's near the end of it, and I'll be like, oh, actually, I'm gonna go do this thing, and then I'm going, oh, actually, I'm gonna start this other thing. You know, like it gets very much like that. Yeah. So there's heaps of things in the pipeline for us, but it all comes down to like timing. Because the things that I work on that are my own, they don't pay. You know, like yeah. So I'll work on that right up until I'm going, okay, you know what, gotta go and do a whākau. So in order to be able to do a whākau, I'm gonna go and do this other gig. Yeah, but there's heaps. There's a few things that I'd really love to do.
Jake, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate your time. It was a really good insight for us to see what goes on behind the show that we watched, and also for viewers who are joining us on this journey as we look back and go over the dawn raids that happened in the 70s. And yeah, so it's just a massive blessing. We wish you all the best for the rest of the year and for your upcoming opportunities, and we hope they come in abundance.
Thank you.
And we hope that we get to feature in some of those.
The Walking Dead podcast.
And thank you to you for joining us on the show. We really appreciate your time for tuning in. Do keep up on the journey. Stay with us on the Va'a as we go down the road of the Dawn Raid series. But yeah, tune in for the next episode.